Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Boston Cares Awards and virtual 30th anniversary celebration. I'm Chris Flanagan with Boston 25 News, and I have the distinct honor of being your host this evening as we reflect on the tremendous impact Boston Cares has had on the greater Boston community in the 30 years since its founding. This impact could not have been achieved without volunteers, many of whom we look forward to recognizing tonight. Though we can't celebrate together in person, we are together in a celebratory spirit with an engaging and inspiring program for all of you tonight. Throughout the evening, we'll hear from members of the Boston Cares team, our volunteer award winners, as well as a few special guests. As we get started, I do want to note that the silent auction is now officially live. You'll find that link on the page here if you'd like to check out some really great items. I hope you'll settle into a comfortable spot, maybe with a glass of wine from our friends at the Urban Grape, as we reflect on the impact of volunteers on our community. I'd now like to introduce Rob Jeffers, Boston Cares' board chairman, tell us more about the history of this vital organization.
Thank you, everybody, for tuning in to our celebration this evening as we reflect on the past, present, and future of Boston Cares. It is my pleasure to serve as chairman of Boston Cares Board. I joined the leadership of Boston Cares in 2017 to help build a better Boston. Of course, Boston Cares and the volunteers we mobilize have been contributing to our communities long before I came on the board. Before even some of the awardees we'll honor tonight were born. Over the past 30 years, tens of thousands of volunteers have helped us provide 1.3 million hours of service to 930 schools and nonprofits. Let's take a look back to when it all began in 1991. We're proud of what we've been able to achieve for our communities over the past 30 years, and we couldn't have done it without our volunteers and partners. Together, we've worked to build a better Boston and to respond to community needs as they change, as they did the past year during the pandemic. Tonight, we'll hear stories of service that are sure to inspire and motivate us all. I hope you'll be moved to join us in service or support our work with a donation that will have ripple effects throughout the entire community. Next, I'd like to invite up our Executive Director, Sarah Hamilton, to tell us more about the past year at Boston Cares.
Thank you, Rob and Chris, and good evening, everyone. I've had the privilege of leading Boston Cares for the past 2 years as Executive Director, but my involvement began in 2010. Over the years, I've witnessed the many ways our volunteers make a difference in our community, responding to changing needs of partners and neighbors, especially this past year in response to the COVID-19 pandemic. Like many, last March, we had to pivot swiftly to meet the fast-growing and evolving needs of our greater Boston communities. With the help of our most dedicated volunteers and many new folks raising their hands to help, we forged new partnerships and expanded old ones to deliver much-needed support. We quickly launched new projects to support meal distribution with Boston Public Schools and food pantries across the region, collectively supporting over 6 million meals. We partnered with the City of Boston to make over 9,000 wellness calls to older adults. We transitioned our English tutoring programs to serve 300 immigrants in virtual classrooms, and found new ways for volunteers to serve our community partners from the safety of home. While we all continue to navigate the changing landscape of the pandemic, we believe we've proved the resilience of Boston Cares, and tonight we thank a few of those who've made that possible, while reflecting on our history and future. Tonight, we'll recognize volunteers and partners earning a Milestone Achievement Award. We'll celebrate over 100 volunteers who have earned Presidential Volunteer Service Awards or Boston Service Champions Awards. We'll highlight a few of our most inspiring community servants whose dedication to volunteerism is sure to inspire. Before we get into our formal awards, though, I want to first take a minute to express my gratitude to the incredible Boston Cares team who's demonstrated their flexibility, resilience, and commitment. Our staff, Casey Sanfilippo, Laura Keith, Casey Mullane, Shannon Muddy, Nicole Plant, and Allie Tratler, thank you for all you do to make this work possible. And our small but mighty team is lucky to have an engaged board of directors and a hardworking associate board that expands our capacity, allowing us to continue to grow and take on new projects like important diversity, equity, and inclusion work led by our DEI committee and the planning of tonight's celebration. While I can't name all 40 of you who volunteer your time to help in these strategic ways, I want to say a special thanks to our 30th anniversary committee, especially committee leads Marian Kalaki and Megan Richards. Your leadership in this process for the past year plus has made tonight possible. We also wouldn't be here tonight without support from our friends at Alexion Pharmaceuticals, Fiduciary Trust, and Eastern Bank. Your commitment to the community and partnership with Boston Cares is greatly appreciated, and we're thrilled to have you with us tonight. To get us started, we have a short video reflecting on Boston Cares' role in the community.
So the partnership with Boston Cares not only brings us people to peel and chop in our kitchen, but it brings a greater awareness in the community. It brings VISTA volunteers, higher skilled volunteers. Ultimately, it leads to board members, to donors, to advocates, policy leaders. It's just a wonderful thing when you think that the ripples of the pond start with one person peeling cucumbers and can lead to an entire policy change at the local, regional, or national level.
Volunteering is, I would say, the lifeblood of Room to Grow. We're a small organization and really rely on the support of volunteers to help us to make our program work and to meet the needs of our families. If Boston Cares didn't exist, it would cut our volunteer base in half. We would have 750 fewer volunteers to help us to get essential baby items directly into the hands of families living in financial distress. Boston Cares volunteers put everything they have into the work that they do and the service that they offer to Room to Grow.
I don't think there's enough that I can put in words what the partnership with Boston Cares, with Fidelity, has meant to the school. They give me that support that I need so I can keep coming back day after day, regardless of what the challenges and the obstacles may be, and say, we can do it, but most importantly, we'll do it, and we'll do it together.
Hello, and thank you for inviting me to join you today. I wish we could do this in person. That's not possible, but I'm glad to have a chance just to pass along a message. I want to thank all of you who are here today as we celebrate Boston Cares' 30th anniversary. And I want to give a special shout out to the Boston Cares Awards recipients. Thank you for your tireless commitment to serving our communities. Boston Cares is a terrific group of hardworking and dedicated volunteers, and for over 30 years, Boston Cares has taken on some of the toughest work in our communities. From working with young people to distributing food at the Red Cross Food Pantry to gathering supplies for parts of the country devastated by storms. Your work has made a difference year after year after year. And during the COVID-19 pandemic, Boston Cares has played a critical role in food distribution to Boston schools, to families in need, to seniors, and to people who are experiencing homelessness. As we recover from these health and economic crises, many families depend more than ever on the critical community service that groups like Boston Cares provide for our communities. Because of your efforts, people who have been struggling have the support they need during these difficult times. You are the tangible evidence of the best of what we are. You are the evidence that we take care of each other. So I just want to say thank you. Thank you to our volunteer leaders who make our communities stronger every single day. Thank you to our terrific volunteers who teach us about what public service is all about. And thank you to the Boston Cares staff who make the work and this celebration possible. I'm in this fight with you all the way, so keep up the great work.
On that note, we're going to kick off the awards portion of the evening by recognizing those who have a long-standing commitment to serving Greater Boston. The Milestone Awards recognize volunteers, community partners, and corporate partners who have reached a tenure of 5, 10, 15, and 20 years of Boston Cares through the end of 2020. Boston Cares' 30 years of service is made possible by volunteers and partners who are dedicated to working together to improve our community. Our Milestone Award winners are shining examples of the strong relationships that make this work possible. Boston Cares was founded on the idea of making volunteering flexible and accessible in order to engage more volunteers to fill community needs. Long-term relationships, like those reaching milestones here tonight, demonstrate the impact Boston Cares volunteers have on an organization and the strong relationships they help build. Now, in particular, I want to call out some really impressive milestones here. Volunteers Emma Lathan and Jeff Schweffel are each celebrating 20-plus years of service with Boston Cares. That is amazing dedication to your community. Community partners Prison Book Program and Shawmut Corridor Gardens have also been with Boston Cares for 20 years. The Harvest Food Pantry has been a staple to the Boston Cares calendar for 25 years. It's incredible to see such long-term partnerships and the impact your work together has had on the community over the years. Thank you all for your partnership, your service, and your collective impact on Greater Boston. And congratulations on reaching this milestone. Next up tonight, we're excited to share with you the stories of our 3 outstanding volunteer service award winners. Sarah, tell us a little bit about tonight's winners.
One of the highlights of our annual celebration is the presentation of the Volunteer Service Awards. Each year, Boston Cares recognizes outstanding volunteers, volunteer leaders, community and corporate partners for their exceptional work. Year after year, we are honored to thank those that give back and make a difference in the Boston Cares community. Tonight's volunteer honorees represent the spectrum of ways in which volunteers give back, including pivoting during the pandemic. I'm excited to introduce you to 3 incredible volunteers. You'll meet Horace Wong Jr., a local high school student who started volunteering with his father at Boston Cares Projects in 2017, Kathleen Vanny, a dedicated ESOL tutor who has pivoted to provide support to immigrants learning English virtually this past year, and Sifelden Kuti, an immigrant from the Sudan who shifted its service to support food distribution efforts and virtual programs in response to COVID-19. Collectively, our 3 honorees tonight have served 1,500 hours of service with Boston Cares, truly helping us to meet our mission. Let's hear more from them directly.
Hi, my name is Horace. I'm 17, and I've been volunteering at Boston Cares for around 4 years now. And I hope that once I go to college, I will continue to volunteer and most likely beyond that as well. Volunteering has been really important to me because of my father. He was the one who really inspired me to volunteer because of the fact that growing up, he was an immigrant to the US, and because of that reason, he received a lot of help from others. And he has always told me that the best way to give back would be to volunteer and help others as well. For example, volunteering has helped me a lot, where I've been able to pick up many skills like packaging and invoicing, among other skills. And I've realized that volunteering has also helped me be able to learn about the stories of other people, and these stories have really been interesting as well as really inspiring, and has helped me a lot because these stories of people's experiences has taught me a lot of lessons. What I've learned most, especially at the Prison Break program, is a lot of these people, they end up in their conditions not because of them being a bad person, but because of either small mistakes or just the injustice in society, which is the reason why they ended up as they are. Some of my favorite places to volunteer at are the Red Cross, the Prison Book program, and Women's Lunch Place, and I've volunteered at these places from 2 to 4 years. Volunteering at Boston Cares has impacted me personally because although I've learned about the social injustices in society, and either from stories from other people or just from studying in school, I've always felt that experiencing something is the best way to be able to learn. And so volunteering has helped me have first-hand experience with people who have been affected by the social inequality in society, and because of that reason, volunteering has been really impactful because of these experiences I've been able to pick up. And being able to meet others has been really fascinating for me because of the stories that I've also been able to learn.
My name is Kathleen Bunny. I work at Brigham and Women's Hospital. I came to Boston Cares shortly after I graduated college. I wanted to be more involved in the greater Boston community, but with working full-time and doing things, on the weekends, I found it really difficult to commit to a regular schedule. So the calendar program was kind of where I started, and I did projects here and there until one evening I saw an email about getting trained to become an ESOL tutor. I was really interested in working with students of other languages who were learning to speak English because I took Spanish in high school and in college, and I thought, even though we're not supposed to, I thought it would be a good way to kind of keep up with my skills while helping others. And I found that to be a little bit true. When I started, I was immediately drawn to this group. The site itself, Maverick Landing, is such a cool organization, and they are a community center and they provide all sorts of different services for their area. And the group is awesome. It's nothing short of amazing. There are hundreds of students waiting to get on this list, and they're all incredibly motivated, and they all have their different stories about why they've come here to the US, but we're all united in what we need to do, which is get them to be able to speak and communicate in English. So I've been working with them for about 3 years, and I think the impact has been really special because you are with them, the same class, for 12 weeks, and every week they get a little bit better. But then at the start of a fresh cycle, you get a new batch of students and you're reminded how far the past group had come over their 12 weeks with you. And occasionally we do get to meet alums who have gone on to have great success in their careers. So when they finish the 12 weeks, they don't stop. They go on to either another program to learn English even more, or they continue on into a training program to develop their career skills. And there are some students who have just done great things and been very successful in their careers, and they come back to us, and it's so cool to meet them and for them to meet the other students. They're such an inspiration. And of course, I'll be continuing with them in the future. I don't see any reason to stop.
My name is Sefetin Bersham Musa Kodi. I'm from Sudan. I live now here in Dorchester. I came in US 2017. After 1 year, I started as a Boston Care in June 2018. I work now in Delta Global Service as security. Before I came here, I have a degree in my country in engineering. I worked there, but that time the regime in Sudan intimidated me and harassed me. I moved outside Sudan. So that I came here as a resettlement program. When I came here after 1 year, I started Boston Care as a volunteer. I did many projects with Boston Care, from food pantry, education, also prepare tax. All this project through Boston Care. This project, they help me to make relation with the people, to know the people, to talk with the people, and to help people also. I think that is good value for me to see how to do something for the Boston. I found the Boston Care, I applied and continue till now. The good things in the Boston Care, there is a good staff, great staff to help and support people, how to volunteer and how to go forward. I gratulate the Boston Care for 30 years. I hope the people and the donors and partners support Boston Care to continue the second 100 years again. Also, I appeal the people to join the Boston Care for volunteering, for donation, for anything to help the people to go together. Thank you again, Boston Care, and thank you, Massachusetts. Thank you, Boston Care.
Wow, what an impressive group of volunteers. Horace, Kathleen, and C. Feldon are just 3 examples of the commitment to service exhibited by the thousands of Boston Cares volunteers who give back each year. Our next set of honorees are also standout volunteers, giving at least 100 hours of service over the year. Boston Cares is proud to recognize outstanding volunteer service through the President's Volunteer Service Award, the PVSA, issued by the Corporation for National and Community Service and administered by Points of Light, recognizes volunteers who meet defined service hour requirements over a 12-month period with gold, silver, and bronze levels of recognition. Individuals who qualify for this award are Boston Cares volunteers that have dedicated many hours to serving within our communities and have demonstrated a commitment to public service. PVSA recipients must also be U.S. citizens or permanent residents. And in order to acknowledge the service of volunteers who do not meet those requirements, Boston Cares partners with the City of Boston to offer the Boston Cares Service Champion Award as a companion to the PVSA, recognizing the same levels of gold, silver, and bronze service with recognition from the Mayor of Boston. Tonight, we honor a total of 111 individuals and 2 groups who have qualified for a gold, silver, or bronze award. Collectively, these honorees have provided over 25,000 hours of service to Greater Boston by supporting immigrants learning English to advance their job opportunities, packaging and distributing food to those facing hunger, particularly as food insecurity rose in the past year, maintaining public green spaces, supporting youth development through programs like the Boston Debate League, making wellness calls to older adults isolated during the pandemic, and even making hand-sewn masks for use by community organizations. We wish we could personally shake each of your hands this year and thank you for your service, but until we can, know that your service makes a difference, especially now when our communities have needed you most. To continue with the gratitude tonight, we have another special guest who would like to share a few words.
Hey everybody, it's Brian Scalabrini, and the question was asked me, what does community service mean to me? Well, community service to me is from helping my neighbors to helping kids that are trying to become professional basketball players or make it in high school or college to helping my daughter's friends, to helping people in need that aren't as fortunate. When I think of community and I think of community service, I think of everyone across the board. It's not a one place for me. It's all people out there, helping our neighbors, helping everyone, do the best they can in this world. And just sometimes that's just making people smile for a day. And that's what community service means to me.
Hey everyone, this is Jake Bailey of the New England Patriots. I wanted to say congratulations to Boston Cares on 30 years of service to the greater Boston community and to all the outstanding volunteers and organizations being honored tonight. Volunteering is important to me because it's the highest form of teamwork. Even if you're not directly on the same team, anytime you can help somebody out, it's for a good cause. Thank you guys. Have a great night.
Well, as you can see, Boston Cares volunteers have made a big impression across the community, and this is because of strong collaborative partnerships with nonprofits, schools, faith-based, government, and civic organizations that create real change in the community. Over the past 30 years, Boston Cares has worked with more than 900 organizations to engage volunteers. And tonight, we honor one of those partners, the Greater Boston Food Bank. Sarah, tell us more about Boston Cares' 29-year history with the food bank.
That's right, Chris. Boston Cares first sent volunteers to the Greater Boston Food Bank back in 1992. And over the years, we've built a strong partnership with this incredible organization that provides critical support to people in our community who are food insecure. Our partnership with the food bank has included regular projects sorting food on the conveyor belt in their warehouse and working together during the pandemic this past year to ensure that the small food pantries in their network had the volunteers needed to meet increasing needs. In fact, this past year, we brought on 8 new partners through the Greater Boston Food Bank, organizations that in some cases needed new volunteers when their regular crew was unable to serve due to health concerns, and others that expanded their services to meet new community needs. As we look back on our 30 years and how things have changed, especially in 2020, our partnership with the Greater Boston Food Bank really stands out as something special, and we're thrilled to take this opportunity to recognize not just this longstanding relationship, but the vital services the food bank provides to our community.
The Greater Boston Food Bank is the largest hunger relief organization in New England. We serve all the 9 counties across eastern Massachusetts through a network of over 500 agencies. That's 190 cities and towns each and every day. Volunteers play a critical role in helping the Greater Boston Food Bank achieve its mission to end hunger here. When we look across the 190 cities and towns throughout eastern Massachusetts, one can begin to understand the importance of volunteers. They come here to the Greater Boston Food Bank's facility, or they are in community supporting a program. The Greater Boston Food Bank is deeply dependent on the role of volunteers to help us. If not for volunteers, there would be a huge cost to the food bank. It's also a way to give back, whether it's through your corporation, your church or synagogue, or just in community. We love having volunteers and we love having Boston Cares. The arrival of COVID, now over a year ago, has been both historic and deeply, deeply demanding, with a great deal of both sadness and exuberance that has occurred because of it. So what we have seen is huge numbers of food insecurity rising at historical rates. We now have 1 in 8 individuals that is food insecure and 1 in 5 that's a child. Our distribution has grown significantly from 1 million pounds of food a week to over 2.5 million pounds of food a week. In such, agencies are seeing at least a 50% increase at their doors. So we do not see this letting up. I think the hard part has been, due to COVID, we've missed seeing many of you. And we are deeply hopeful that you will be able to come here once again in the large numbers that you used to, Boston Cares, because we know you are making a difference and we're going to need you going forward. The historic truth around COVID-19 and this pandemic has touched everyone. It is pervasive. Whether you're a business, an organization, a family, a worker, I've seen incredible loss and incredible challenge. And for the volunteers, they had to pivot too. One of the ways that Boston Cares has pivoted during this remarkable and historic time is to help us get volunteers directly in community. Many of our volunteers couldn't get to the Greater Boston Food Bank site anymore, but they could get to their town or down the street. And not only did they continue to come in small numbers, but good numbers to GBFB's site, we were also able to set up a long desired program to get volunteers actually in the communities served by the Greater Boston Food Bank. So here at the food bank, they were creating the family meal boxes that went directly to these programs. And then in community, they were right on the front lines, helping those programs distribute food directly. I want to express my sincere appreciation to Boston Cares for this honor. We are privileged to be an outstanding community partner with you. 29 years, 13,000 volunteers, 90,000 hours, 3.75 million meals later. You honor us, yet we are grateful to you for this tribute and for being able to make sure people understand what food insecurity looks like. Americans need our help. Our friends and family need our help. And we just want to thank you for helping us achieve our mission to end hunger here. Thank you.
The Greater Boston Food Bank really does some incredible work to make sure all our neighbors have access to healthy meals. And so much of that work is thanks to volunteers from all over the city. Partnerships like the one we just saw are really a demonstration of how Boston Cares connects the community, connects volunteers to organizations on the ground, and as we'll see next, connects corporations with the ways to make a difference.
Since 1997, Boston Cares has partnered with over 400 companies of all sizes and across many industries to engage their employees in high-impact volunteer projects meeting community need. Our corporate partners are critical to our impact and the services we're able to provide to our nonprofit partners. Our corporate engagement projects have traditionally involved large groups gathering together for hands-on projects where volunteers work together to repaint schools, improve playgrounds, build beds, and work with students. As you can imagine, things had to look a little different this past year, and our team worked to reimagine what corporate service days could look like. We learned a few things along the way. One, that there are many ways for volunteers to engage in non-traditional virtual opportunities that provide a real value add to the community. And two, our corporate partners and their employees remain more committed than ever to helping make our shared community a better place. We are honored to recognize one specific partner tonight that has demonstrated a long-standing commitment to volunteerism and community engagement, Alexion Pharmaceuticals. Over the past 5 years of our partnership, Alexion volunteers have helped support schools and nonprofits through facility improvement projects, STEM fairs and career readiness opportunities, creating, packing, and sorting donated goods, and so much more. This year, their team continued their tradition with a global week of service for hundreds of employees, all through virtual engagement opportunities. We're proud to partner with Alexion, and we thank you for your ongoing commitment to service.
For the past 5 years, we have been honored to have worked with Boston Cares to create meaningful and sustainable impact for our shared community. Even through challenging circumstances, Boston Cares has allowed us to continue our commitment to service. On behalf of Alexion, thank you, Boston Cares, for recognizing us as your corporate partner of the year.
I so appreciate Boston Cares being innovative and creative to come up with virtual volunteer opportunities while ensuring the safety, well-being of others and still having an impact on the communities around them. For me, volunteering is an opportunity to really live my values and my purpose and make a positive impact in the lives of others.
Giving back to the community through volunteering is something that is near and dear to my heart. Alexion has a wonderful tradition referred to as the Global Week of Service. My virtual volunteer activity benefited the Ronald McDonald House Charities. The event was so much fun, and it felt wonderful knowing that we were bringing a little bit of joy and comfort to children in need, especially at such a difficult time in their lives and in the world.
Something I missed about working in person was having access to volunteer events. So it was great to see the strong partnership between Alexion and Boston Cares have a seamless transition to virtual. And my favorite was definitely making cards for frontline workers on MLK Day of Service.
During Alexion's 2019 Global Day of Service, I joined 31 of my colleagues to volunteer at Mather Elementary STEM Fair. We completed this volunteer activity in partnership with Boston Cares to further hone in on our commitment to volunteerism.
I'm thankful that I had an opportunity to participate in this year's Global Week of Service in partnership with Suit Up, where we had an opportunity to serve as business case competition judges. Though we're spending a lot of time in our home offices and in front of Zoom, the energy was palpable from those students. And I'm grateful that they were able to shine a light on me. And while it was said that we were giving back to the community, really they were giving back to us.
Caring is part of our DNA here at Alexion. We are deeply honored to be recognized for this award from Boston Cares. As a proud partner, we thank you.
I think one of the themes we've seen here tonight is the importance of strong partnerships and long-standing relationships within the community, something Boston Cares has excelled at for over the past 30 years, and something our next guest knows well.
30 years? It's mind-blowing. I was hired in 1994 with a seed grant from Fidelity, and I was given half a desk. Every day I'd come to work and I'd sit at my half a desk, and another woman from Fidelity sat at hers. And, you know, the same kind of people were involved then as I'm sure there are today. Just amazing people wanting to make a difference. And we worked to do our volunteer, orientations and build new projects and come up with new schemes for keeping ourselves going. There were times we didn't think we'd make it to the end of the month, let alone the year. So I just want to congratulate all of you, this year's honorees, all the community partners and volunteers and team leaders and executive directors and sponsors who brought Boston Cares to today. It's beyond our wildest dreams. Congratulations, and here's to the next 30 years.
Hey, Boston Cares, happy 30th anniversary. People have asked me for years, why did you stay at Boston Cares as long as you did? And I always say the same thing. I came for the mission, and I stayed because of the people. And as inspiring as the Boston Cares community has been for me over these many years and continues to be, I hope it's never lost what an impact Boston Cares has had on volunteer centers throughout the country and even in other parts of the world, Singapore, Rio de Janeiro, Amsterdam. There are volunteer centers all over the place that have modeled their work and have been lifted up by what they've seen Boston Cares do. And we talk so much about how important it is to think globally but act locally. In our case, we've been acting locally and having this huge national and global impact for many, many years. And that is a very powerful and precious thing that I hope is never, ever lost. So good on you, Boston Cares. Well done. Congratulations again on 30 amazing years. Thank you for the impact that you're making every single day. I can't wait to see what's next.
Over the past 30 years, leaders like Julie, Patrice, and others have helped build strong relationships in the Boston community and beyond, including our position as a leader within the Points of Light Global Affiliate Network, a group of nearly 200 volunteer mobilizer organizations with a collective reach of over 2 million volunteers. Points of Light works to create a global culture of volunteerism, and part of that includes recognizing service by administering the President's Volunteer Service Award presented earlier this evening, and elevating inspiring stories of service through the Daily Point of Light Award, which honors volunteers who demonstrate the power of service and who are driving significant and sustained impact through their everyday actions and words that light the path for other points of light. Each weekday since its inception in 1991, Points of Light issues a daily Point of Light award to one volunteer in America, each individually numbered as a unique point of light. We're honored tonight to have Points of Light CEO, Natalie Paquin, join us to celebrate our 30 years and Daily Point of Light honoree, Emma Lathan.
Hello, I'm Natalie Paquin, President and CEO of Points of Light. Today, it is my honor to congratulate Boston Cares for over 30 years of service to community. Since 1991, Boston Cares has been around really filling community needs, and last year was no exception. In 2020, Boston Cares distributed over 6 million meals to families in need. Thank you so much to Boston Cares. And today, it's my privilege to present Daily Point of Light Award to Emma Lathan. Emma joined Boston Cares in 1998 and since then has logged in more than 6,000 hours. She's filled multiple roles, including being an active disaster relief volunteer, a volunteer at the Prison Bank Project, and is a regular volunteer at the Boston Food Bank. Emma models how service can be provided, and she is a shining light in your community. Congratulations, Emma, on receiving Daily Point of Light Award, and congratulations, Boston Cares, on an amazing 30 years. And thank you so much for all you do.
So I started volunteering when I was 14. I went to Cambridge Ridgeland High School in Cambridge, Mass. Go Falcons. One day, Project Bread came there and did a presentation for their big annual fundraiser, which is the Walk for Hunger. I just needed to raise some money and walk 20 miles. It was something that I, at 14, could do. I remember going home and telling my mother about it, and she even joked that in terms of the Walk for Hunger, that she felt that maybe we would be walking for ourselves because we definitely lived paycheck to paycheck then. The big day came. I did the 20 miles, and it was the greatest feeling in the world to be able to know that I made an impact. And so I did it the next year, and I did it after that, and I was hooked, and that's how I started volunteering. You know, I'm just doing what anybody else would be doing, but I'm also minded of a quote that Jim Valvano, who was the NC State coach, which is that everyday ordinary people do extraordinary things. I think about the fact that, for example, at Prison Book Program, particularly during this year of COVID, we managed to find a workaround using the tools that have evolved. I mean, things like collaborative technology and so forth. And dedication. We were able to send books to prisoners during a time in which we weren't able to use our normal space to do it, and during a time where we weren't able to marshal large groups of volunteers to assist us with the work. And that you were able to make an impact like that in somebody's life is extraordinary. This past summer, working with the Boston Public School system and delivering food to Boston Public School students. That was, I mean, their thank yous were reward enough. But also when we were doing that, my partner grew up in the very neighborhood that we were responsible for. So it also provided a way for him to pay forward, to just know that we were able to help them was rewarding. I volunteer. It's a habit. It's become a habit, and a good habit to have, to be able to give back and to give time and energy to things that will make a difference in people's lives. I also think that at times when I participate in service, I also receive gifts back. They can be anything from, the feeling of knowing that I've done a little bit of good in the world, to meeting people that I might not otherwise have met. Well, I definitely would like to thank the Points of Light Foundation for having me be a daily point of light, for bestowing this honor on me. I would very much like to share it with the people that I've been able to help. And lastly, I would like to share it with my family, and particularly my mother, who definitely was the model and inspiration of an ordinary person giving what little time she had, and was able to create a daughter who gave what time she would have and would go on to do extraordinary things.
Emma, thank you for your 22 years of service with Boston Cares. And thank you to all of our honorees tonight. Every year at this event, the stories of our honorees help us to show the role Boston Cares plays in making these connections between volunteers, community organizations, and the ever-evolving needs of our community. We are proud of our 30-year history serving Greater Boston, and we're looking forward to the next 30. As we emerge from this pandemic year, we're excited to strategically learn from our shared challenges and successes and continue to build new partnerships and opportunities for us to work together to build a better, stronger, more engaged community. In the near future, that means evolving our programs to serve our partners' changing needs, identifying ways to build on this new world of virtual volunteering that expands opportunities for service, working to support our community in recovering from the long-term impacts of this pandemic, and providing our volunteers with opportunities to learn, discuss, and engage around issues of race, equity, and social justice.
That's right. At Boston Cares, we envision a day when the practice of volunteering throughout Greater Boston is widespread and reflective of a rich diversity of backgrounds, experiences, and lifestyles of those who live and work in the communities we serve. As we look to our future, we're excited about opportunities to work with all of you to make that possible. We can't do this work without all of you. Your service, your partnership, your shared vision for our community. And as chairman of the board, I, of course, have to remind you that we can't do it without your financial support. I'd like to once again thank our sponsors who'd help make tonight possible: Alexion Pharmaceuticals, Fiduciary Trust Company, and Eastern Bank. You can help support our work too. Our online auction is currently running through April 13th, where you can contribute to our work and walk away with some great prizes. Or you can text Boston Cares to 44321. That's Boston Cares, all one word, to 44321 to donate. As our celebration comes to a close tonight, consider a gift of $30 for our 30 years. Thank you again for joining us tonight, for your commitment to our community, and for your ongoing support.
Thank you, Sarah and Rob. I think we're all impressed with our honorees here tonight and the impact they've collectively made on the Boston community. As we wrap up tonight's celebration, we'll leave you with some reflections from Boston Cares volunteers about what volunteering means to them, why they do the work they do, and their hopes for the future. Thank you again for joining us, and congratulations to Boston Cares on your 30th anniversary and to all the outstanding honorees tonight.
Hi, my name is Meredith Lipnick, and this is my assistant, Georgia. I'm a volunteer leader and a member of the Associate Board. We are so proud to be a part of Boston Cares, especially as they continue to provide services throughout the pandemic. With a year that's taken a strain on us in one way or another, it's so important to continue volunteerism, as people have not had the interactions they've had in the past and don't have the opportunities in a lot of cases. I can't wait to get back to in-person volunteer activities in Boston Public Schools and some of the amazing nonprofits around town. I am so excited to see some of the nonprofit leaders, the students and the kids, and continue helping them tell their stories and promote their futures.
Congratulations to Boston Cares for 30 years of service, and to all Boston Cares employees and volunteers who've made this happen. A year ago, the virus happened and everything just shut down. And since then, volunteering for me has been much more challenging. I've had to step back from events I was attending regularly, but Boston Cares was able to connect me to events that I could do safely. As we try to get back to something closer to normal this year, there's going to be a lot of need in the community, and I know Boston Cares is going to be working hard to address those needs. I'm going to be connecting with my favorite places to volunteer again, and trying out new opportunities, and I hope you all do too. Thanks for volunteering, and again, congratulations for 30 years.
While public health crises of COVID and racism defined this past year, they also reinforce the value of volunteerism and the critical role that Boston Cares plays in building a greater Boston. Due to systemic inequities, our most vulnerable neighbors were disproportionately impacted by challenges such as food insecurity. As an organization, Boston Cares distributed 6 billion meals during COVID-19. Alongside other Boston Cares members, I'm grateful to have contributed to this impact as we supported our nonprofit partners such as the American Red Cross, Friday Night Supper Program, and Boston Living Center. Moving forward, I hope that Boston Cares and civic leaders such as yourselves will continue to foster community and promote human connection, kindness, and resilience.
Before the pandemic, the state of Massachusetts needed people for volunteers activity. The pandemic has increased that necessity and is important to acknowledge. I truly believe the only way to create a better place to live is to be kind, considerate, and generous with those in our community that aren't as fortunate in life. We all know that everything has changed in society during the pandemic, and that includes the way that we do volunteers activity. Now, perhaps more than ever, it's important to remind our community of just how rewarding it is to help others and work together to create a better city, state, and country. Together, at Boston Cares, we can make our future bright.
Hi, friends of Boston Cares. I think that volunteering is important from many points of view. In this specific time, volunteering is important for the many social challenges that this pandemic has issued. In this specific place, volunteering is a matter of pride. It is a matter of pride to offer arms and efforts to this old, historical, and beautiful community of America, which takes the name of Boston. And in any specific individual volunteer, volunteering is a necessity to fulfill the human instinct to serve his neighbor. And those three are just few of the many reasons for which volunteering can easily become a lifelong commitment. Thank you, Boston.
Thank you.